Chapter 6. Hubbard the Godmaker. Only when a master magician invokes a god and has won the form can the deity enter into life and gain power over the largest complexes of individuals. Dr. Ernst Schertl, Magic, History, Theory, Practice. Copy found in Hitler's library. The attempt to obtain magical powers is certainly not unique to Hubbard and Crowley. Every culture on every continent seems to have had its own approach. One element common to most cultures is the belief in disembodied or discarnate spirits. In the Gospels, Christ casts out demons into the Gadarene swine, but disembodied spirits can be found in the teachings of every major religion, including Islamic jinn, Tibetan Gedons, Jewish Dibuks, and many, many others. Crowley held the belief typical to magicians that such spirits can be used to fulfill spells. In a 1954 lecture, Hubbard said, "The actual mission of a magician is to control and bend to his will spirits who then go forth and do his bidding, and that is the basic practice called magic." The goal of Scientology is to become an operating thetan, a being able to act independently from the human meat body. Most of the secret OT-level teachings of Scientology concern spirit exorcism. Shortly before launching his Science of the Mind, Hubbard used a self-hypnotic affirmation to the effect that elemental beings were his slaves. Towards the end of his life, Hubbard wrote some chirpy pop songs which were recorded under his direction. One of these songs, The Evil Purpose, begins, "In olden days the populace was much afraid of demons and paid an awful sky-high price to buy some priestly begons." The song goes on to explain that there are no demons, just the easily erased evil purpose. In fact, the operating thetan levels from 3 to 7 are concerned almost entirely with body thetans, indwelling spirits, elementals, or demons. Hubbard initially floated the idea of entities and theta beings to his adherents in spring 1952 during his very first Scientology lectures. He spoke of theta as the life force and went on to describe theta beings and theta bodies. Mention was made again that June in the book What to Audit, still in print, minus a chapter, as Scientology, A History of Man. Here, Hubbard said that we are all inhabited by 7 foreign spirits, the leader of which he called the crew chief. The idea was not popular, and it was abandoned for almost 15 years. In January 1967, in Morocco, Hubbard researched an incident which he claimed had occurred 75 million years ago. He continued his research on the island of Gran Canaria. In a recorded lecture in September 1967, Hubbard announced his revelation to Scientologists. He had broken through the wall of fire that inhibits our superpowers and keeps us overwhelmed by the world around us. During the research, he became very ill and almost lost the body. Jerry Armstrong, Hubbard's former archivist, has said that the Hubbard archive contains letters written to Mary Sue Hubbard while he was creating Section 3 of the Operating Thetan course, OT3. In these letters, Hubbard spoke about taking drugs as an aspect of his research, specifically pinks and greys, most likely the opiate Demerol. Crowley was also a multiple drug abuser, hopelessly addicted to heroin by the time of his death. In his 1967 lecture, Hubbard claimed to have broken his back while researching. Armstrong told me that Hubbard had indeed fallen in the gutter while very drunk. A doctor had been called out to him to deal with a sprain. From Gran Canaria, in a panic, Hubbard summoned Scientologist Virginia Downsborough. When I interviewed her, she told me he was rambling and sick, terrified that his indwelling spirits, or body thetans, would take him over completely. He was no longer eating or drinking and was taking an enormous quantity of drugs. Virginia helped him to round up the swathe of notes that would become Section 3 of the Operating Thetan course. The result of Hubbard's research was a mixture of science fiction and old-fashioned magic. Hubbard declared that 75 million years ago, Xenu, the overlord of 76 planets, rounded up most of the people of his empire, some 178 billion per planet, and brought them to Earth. Here they were exploded in volcanoes using hydrogen bombs, and the spirits, or thetans, collected on electronic ribbons. Disorientated from the massacre, the disembodied thetans were subjected to some 36 days of hypnotic implanting and clustered together. From 7 indwelling spirits per person in 1952, Hubbard's 1967 estimate ran into the thousands, possibly millions. The implants supposedly contained the blueprint for future civilizations, including the Christian teaching, 75 million years before Christ. Operating Thetan Level 3, OT3, must be kept secret, according to Hubbard, because the unprepared will die within 2 days of discovering its contents. In fact, since the story was leaked in Robert Kaufman's 1972 Inside Scientology, or How I Became a Superman, the story has been published frequently, without noticeable loss of life. Since it first aired in 2005, South Park's Trapped in the Closet, which includes the OT3 story, has been seen by millions.